Alderman Say.
Here.
Alderman Glab.
Here.
Alderman McClatchy.
Here.
Alderwoman Bassey.
Here.
Alderman Davis.
Here.
Alderman Cook.
Here.
Alderwoman Miller.
Here.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd ask council if they plan on voting no on any of these items 5A through 5G to please let me know now. Oh, public comment, my bad. Roger Thacker, public comment. I apologize. Can you hit that center button? Thank you, sir.
That must be it.
That's it?
Roger Thacker, I live at 734 Legend Lane, McHenry, and the reason I'm here is to compliment your staff for, we had an issue with the street light where I live, and I was directed to talk with Liz at Public Works, and very nice young lady, very responsive. That was on a Friday. On Tuesday, ComEd was out there, and this morning they were replacing the whole street light. And it's a credit, I think, to your staff to have such a good relationship with Edison to get something done as quickly as they did. So I was at a couple of the meetings in regards to the downtown area, and I heard a lot of discussion, and I don't think that your staff gets nearly as much credit as they should get when having matters such as that. They're competent, they're knowledgeable, and they're here to give the answers to the council. The council doesn't do this for a living, but these fine people do. So the council should take advantage of their knowledge and their expertise in what they do, or they wouldn't be doing it. I was at both the meetings, and whenever called upon, most notably Director Palarecki and Director Hobson, they always had the answer, and the answer went above and beyond what they were being asked. And in regards to our, I don't want to say new city administrator, fairly new city administrator, she was textbook perfect on everything she had to offer at both of those meetings. Impressive, quite impressive. That's all I had to say. Once again, the staff of McHenry works very hard, but I don't think they get the credit that they should get. A little more professionalism and a little less of what I saw at those two meetings, and I think the whole city of McHenry would be better off. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Roger. Appreciate it. Steve Buss.
Hi, Steve Buss from Buss Ford. Kind of just here representing the 3 car dealers from the RISE event this week. We were tickled to death how it all went. You know, we were kind of the main sponsors there and stuff, and we just working with it for the last year and how it all worked with the staff that he was just talking about. That was, I can't believe I was there on Saturday. My son was there Thursday, Friday, and it was just totally amazing, and wanted just to thank everybody. I thought it was great for bringing people to McHenry that might move to McHenry with seeing what we have to offer and the excitement, and for the businesses, and I give it an A+, and I just wanted to come and say thank you so much. It was just the best thing I've ever been to, so that's all.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. Molly?
Thank you. Molly Ostap, President of the McHenry Chamber. On behalf of the McHenry Chamber, I'd like to commend Amber and Wayne and the Rise Up Committee for putting on such a successful event last weekend. I know it's a successful event because on Saturday night, when everyone was physically exhausted and mentally drained, we were all talking about next year. That's the way that you know it's a good event. As somebody who plans events for a living, I was impressed with the thought and detail given to the advanced planning from a group of people who don't do this as their day job. I was even more impressed with everybody's ability to problem solve on the fly. I always say when it comes to events, you plan, and then the day of the event, you adapt. And as I'm sure you heard, there were traffic issues and long lines to get into the gate on Thursday night. By Friday, it was completely taken care of. The group came together and worked on it, and there was a very smooth check-in. Fiesta Days is a 76-year-old festival, and we're making tweaks every year. So to say that in its infancy, the Rise Up Festival is successful is an understatement, and I'm awed by the efficiency of a group of volunteers. In terms of economic development, this event has had significant impact. This festival does so much more for the community than just raise funds for McHenry County's first ADA inclusive park, which is an admirable goal by itself. First, there was the impact to those businesses who were directly associated with the event. Over 100 local businesses who were vendors, advertisers, and sponsors at Rise Up gained visibility and made money this weekend. Then you have the secondary businesses in our community who were affected by the thousands of people who flooded into our community to stay at our hotels, buy gas, shop at our stores, and eat at our restaurants. I heard several restaurants had over an hour wait to get in this weekend. That's huge for our businesses. And the hotel and sales tax that's going into our community as a result reduces the tax burden on all of our residents. An event of this size also gives credibility to the community. Developers, investors, and potential residents are paying attention. This event puts us on the map. I'm sure you know towns either grow or they die. There's no such thing as maintaining the status quo. We need to attract these people who are willing to invest in our community, and that can happen through events like Rise Up. Separately, an event like this helps create and maintain civic pride. Residents are proud that they live in a community that people are willing to travel to. And that's what I'm probably most proud of, that once again, city staff, local businesses, and community members have come together to create something amazing for our town. We had several board members and staff members who volunteered their time at the event, not because the chamber benefited from the event, but because the community did. I speak with a lot of other community leaders who are jealous of the collaborations that we have here. They just don't exist elsewhere. We need to continue to nurture this because it's our greatest strength. So I just want to thank the City Council for supporting this event and all of the city staff for helping jump in wherever was necessary, and the 500 community members who volunteered. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to make a public comment at this time? Oh, I can hit the button. There you go. I didn't. You got it faster than I did. Well, thank you for that, both Steve and Molly. I appreciate that. And I also, at this time, I'd like to thank the staff that was out there, the police department, county that was also out there. It was a great success, and it just shows how many people care in the community. I mean, over 500 volunteers. So, yeah, applause to everybody that is here actually tonight that's been part of it. It was crazy, but it was fun at the same time. So, thank you. Next item on the agenda is 5A through 5G. Is there any council members wanting to vote no on any of these items? And if not, Alderman Bassey?
Could you pull B?
Is it for discussion, or is it?
A little of both, so I'm not sure how we
Okay.
want to address it.
Okay. Any other council members? Huh? C. Discussion. All right. Thank you. All right. Alderman Santee?
I'll make the motion to approve consent agenda item A and D through G as presented.
Thank you. Second? Alderwoman,
Alderwoman Miller will second that.
Sorry, I am tired, I'm not gonna lie, so this is gonna be a rough one, I'm not gonna lie. Second by Alderwoman Miller. Discussion on these items? See none? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Cook,
Yes.
Alderman Davis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassey,
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy,
Yes.
Alderman Glab. Yes.
Thank you, Council. Next item on the agenda is 5B, approval of the following for the Full Moon Market. 1, Parks Special Use Permit to allow multiple tents at 1202 Riverside Drive, Miller Point Park, with live music on Saturday, 10/12, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., and 2, to allow alcohol in the park aside from the designated areas adjacent to All Marine Retro Rentals at Miller Point Park on Saturday, 10/12, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Alderman Bessie?
I'm good with everything. I like the idea, except I'm not comfortable with alcohol outside of the designated area.
At this time, looking for a motion to approve 5B as presented. Alderman Santee?
Just help me understand this. It is in a designated area. Okay.
The request, just to specify the request, as it stands right now in the park by itself, the only place that alcohol can be is within that triangular area adjacent to the to All Marine Retro Rental and their retreat bar and the shops. The request is to allow people, as they're moving around, this within the park confines, not outside of the confines of the park, but within the confines of the park, as they walk through between the vendor tents, to be able to have alcohol in that area within the park, not outside the park parameters for Miller Point Park.
But the entire park?
The entire park, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I'm sorry, I had a follow-up question. Is this fourth year of this event?
This is the 4th year of this event. The organizer is not here tonight.
Oh, okay, and it's the one that the tables are out by the north end of the park. At least I recall that. I think I went to one. The north end of the park had the food and the desserts over in that area. I just want to make sure I'm.
No, it's more or less, it's a craft fair more than anything else. The focus for this one has been more, there's 35 vendors. They'll have food trucks in the parking lot. They actually, they keep their music more of an acoustic variety. They're actually asking to use the center gazebo for their music and not even be up on the amphitheater or under the amphitheater. They want to have everything more, I guess, centrally located. But the food would be food trucks for the event. So there's no, not that there are, some of the vendors will have like cupcakes or freeze-dried candy or that type of thing. The same thing that you would see at Pearl Street Market or I'll Light the Night. One of those type of vendors is what we'll have. But this is much more vendor intensive. It really is craft show-ish, we'll say. I'm going to go with that.
Alderman Glavine?
Yeah, I just want to state the fact that I'm not in support of this either as far as the alcohol outside of the designated area. It is a show that is from 11 to 6. We have constantly brought up things for the downtown area, and we created this park for the entire residents of the city. To me, it's not necessarily a family-oriented type program, and in the middle of the afternoon, I would like to see families start coming out to these type of events and everything. And if you got people walking around with drinks all over the place, to some families are not comfortable bringing their kids to that type of environment, and that's the reason why I'd like to curtail the amount of drinking that's out there. Thank you.
And I'll just add to that. It's the same exact type of event that we have at Pearl Street Market. It literally is the same event. There's alcohol that people can. As a family event as we have the Thursday night concerts. It's generational. People bring their kids out there. It's the same exact type of event.
Thank you, Bill. Looking for a motion to approve 5B as presented. Alderman Santee?
I'll make the motion to approve 5B as presented.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Miller?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion by City Council? Alderman Cook?
I still don't like the alcohol being outside the designated area. You know, you got kids running around and stuff like that. I get it. But then again, if you need a drink, sit in the designated area, you know? I mean, I'm just against walking around with alcohol. That's what I'm upset about.
Alderman Miller?
I support the, idea. I support the motion. I think putting 1,000 people in that park with the intention of exposing new vendors and their crafts and keeping people with a glass of wine in a small triangular space is an impossible dream. We want to bring, to Molly's point, new people into the marketplace, new people to expose our vendors to fill our mini shops next year and to move them into bricks and mortar the following year. That's the whole intention. So I'm good with the motion, and I'm good with letting them wander the park from 11 to 6 with a glass of wine.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Glab,
No.
Alderman McClatchy.
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassey,
No.
Alderman Davis,
Yes.
Alderman Cook.
No.
Thank you. That is passed. Item 5C, discussion. We'll go ahead and ask for a motion to approve the notice of cancellation of the real estate purchase and sale contract of 3309 and 3407 Waukegan Road, McHenry, Illinois, and B, the notice of cancellation of the real estate purchase and sale contract for 3311, 3313, and 3315 Waukegan Road, McHenry, Illinois. Looking for a motion to approve. Alderman McClatchy.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second. Alderman Santee.
I will second the motion, and I do have a question.
Go ahead. Floor is yours.
Just to confirm, I know it's in the packet, but I think just to get the statement out there, we are receiving that $10,000 back, is that correct?
That is accurate, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions by council?
I'm the one that pulled it.
Go ahead.
And basically,
Floor is yours.
all it is just the wording, if you take a look, the notice of cancellation to Mr. Carey, and it says the city hereby, cancels the agreement. I would like to see put in there the fact that it is, specifically an agreement between both, that it isn't just the city that's canceling the agreement, it is, working with them, the fact that they requested it according to the packet. And so therefore, that wording should be in there instead of just saying that the city cancels it, that in, cooperation with the Carey family, that the city hereby cancels their agreement.
Well, that's gonna require us to go back to Carey and get their consent to put that in here, because we haven't asked for that.
I realize that, but did they ask for it to be canceled?
Well,
According to the packet, they did.
well, I understand, I'm trying to
Right.
explain it to you, it was
No, I
complicated because
understand that too.
it evolved over a period of weeks. We haven't approached the issue of canceling it until right now. Before this, the staff certainly prepared for the cancellation to recommend to the city council to cancel it after Shodine, went away, because we need to, we believed that the city council wanted to cancel the contracts, so then the staff, myself, prepared that cancellation weeks ago, if not more than a month and a half ago, in anticipation of this meeting tonight. In the meantime, between when I prepared it, when Shodine left, when I prepared it, and tonight, we happened to meet with Carey at, I think, their request, I can't remember. Whatever, we met, the mayor and myself and whoever met with Shodine, Carey, and we asked them, do you agree we should cancel it? And they said yes, but I never asked to put their consent in the cancellation. This is a legal document canceling the contract under the rights that we have under the contract, so I'll go back and ask them. So what I need is direction is to make that request, and if they agree, I'll certainly put that in here. But if they don't agree, I need the alternative direction as well, unless we want to bring it back again.
I really don't think we need to bring it back again, but I think it should be put in there, considering the fact that, again, I'm looking at the packet. The packet says Carey representatives have requested that the city cancel the purchase and sale contract of these properties. So they're requesting it, and I think, if nothing else, just in the documents, this part will not be in the documents. The other part that we read will, and that should reflect the fact that we are pretty much doing what they've requested. It's a mutual agreement. In other words, it isn't just the city canceling it. That's all I ask.
I just, before I put that in there and sign it, I'd still like to make the call, at least verbally through the staff or myself, to make sure that's, they're accepting that. If they're not, do I have permission just to cancel it as is? I'll take it either way. I have to prepare for that in case they say, well, no, I'd rather have you not say that in your letter.
Let's put it this way. As far as I'm concerned, I think it should be put in there. I think we should request it. But I have no problems that we pass it one way or the other tonight, as long as we do request that and have that put in if that's the case. There's no sense bringing it back.
I totally understand.
Like I said, it's just the fact that down the road, if somebody wanted to look at it, it's plain and clear.
I get it.
Yeah.
Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. David, does it matter if it's in there or not right now? And if it isn't, is that going to affect us down the road?
No, it's just I think Alderman Glabb's points is understood that, we both agreed to back away from Chodine's proposal.
So it doesn't really matter
Yeah.
if it's in.
I mean, they said what they said, so I think they'll say fine. When we call them up and ask them, I think that's true.
Any other discussion?
Do we have a motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we change that motion? I'd like to amend it to the fact that we approve as presented with the caveat in there that the attorney will take and call the Carey family and have that extra added in request.
I'll make the request.
As long as they are in agreement, and if not, we will pass it as is.
Understood. Monty, you
We could have
understand
a
that?
second.
Got that, yep.
Who made that who made the?
Alderman Santee?
I'll amend it.
No, I'm sorry, Alderman McClatchy, then Alderman Santee, yeah.
You both are okay to amend it?
Absolutely.
All right.
No, Ed, I will amend my second, and I think this is something that, I had prior discussions with a couple of changes during the day on some other items, and I think if we give, Attorney McCardle, a heads up with some concerns, I think, hopefully we could have gotten this resolved prior to having a discussion this evening, but if we want to go down that, do it this way, that's fine. It's just that it is, there's always things in here that we may have concerns, and I'm not an attorney. And if there's, if there's something that just doesn't read right, we do need to put a red flag on that when we find out and try to work on it prior to the start of the meeting. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other?
That will apply to both contracts, everybody understands, right? Okay.
Any other council members have any discussion on this item? Monty, please call the roll.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassey?
Yes.
Alderman Davis?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is 6A, South Harbor lease. A motion to approve a lease for the South Harbor Piers property and buildings with All Marine Services Incorporated through October 31st, 2027. Looking for a motion to approve. Alderman Miller?
I'll make that motion to approve a lease for the South Harbor Piers through October 31st, 2027.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Davis?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion on this item? Alderman Glab?
Yeah. What advantage do we have is having a 3-year contract versus a 1-year contract on this property? What advantages to the city?
The advantages to the city is continuity. That we don't have the continuity. We don't have to every year go out and try to find somebody else or offer this up to somebody else to maintain the same vendor. We also get the advantage of that tenant with a 3-year contract under their belt, the willingness for them to invest in that property, to make improvements to that property, whereas year to year, I'm not going to invest in a property, and ultimately, we're the property owner, so we get the advantages of any investments that are made.
Right. We're basically responsible for the improvements. what kind of improvements are they gonna give us if they get a three-year contract versus a one-year contract?
They've done significant improvements on their own already that have not come back where they've asked us to pay for. The water lines, electric, they've redone bathrooms, a number of improvements. The clubhouse has been redone. All these things they've done on their own and haven't come back to us.
We would not have this come in front of us for 3 years if Chodine was still here. Right? According to the packet, with Chodine pulling out, we feel more comfortable with a three-year.
That's
How do we know that come next summer that we don't have another developer that comes in with a project that he'd like to do out there, with including this property, that everybody is agreeable to?
And that's
And
exactly
wants to move
what.
forward. But
I'm
now
sorry.
there's a long-term lease, and he doesn't want to wait. He's got money he wants to invest. He's got other projects he possibly can invest in. He's going to keep his money working, and he's going to walk away because of the fact that he's not going to wait 2 more years. That's why one-year leases work better. There's no advantage to us to have, it's a disadvantage, actually, for us to give it more than 1 year.
Bill, can you explain that contract?
That's, if you read through the lease, you would have seen that, I put a very important stipulation to protect us within that lease, and that's the out clause of no reason at all. With 120 days notice, a 6-month notice, we can say, all right, we're done with you. And any developer that we've ever dealt with on a project of that size, 6 months is a blink of an eye. And so for us to be able to give them that notice and say, 6 months, we're done, regardless of if it's 6 months from now, it is a 3-year lease, but that out is written within there. On the same side, they can come to us and say, this is not working, we're done. But that out was a hugely important addition to this 3-year lease. So not only do we get the stability, but we also still have the out in place to protect us if and when that developer comes. And we're not going to stop marketing the property. That conversation has been had as well. That's an extremely valuable and important piece of property, what we're trying to accomplish. And so maintaining that ability to market that property and develop that property is essential in what we're doing. That's the whole reason for stability on our end, but also that clause of being able to get out with a 6-month. And 6 months is, again, how long were we going through things with Chodine to try to work out those details? 3 years?
I also kind of wonder, I know, how many different entities did we ask as far as whether they would be interested in this before we continue on with All Marine?
We asked 2. We asked Munson Marine, and we asked Dave Miller in the Miller's Dream Marine.
What about next door?
We did not ask next door. We ended that for very good reasons that we ended that contract. We would not go back to the same person who was not paying us, who was violating codes.
Who's we? The
We
city
as
council?
the city of McHenry. Not me. We as
That's
the city of
council.
McHenry.
The city council's decided that they don't.
So you want to do
wouldn't
business
wanna
with
go
someone that
them, or
wasn't
what?
paying us?
I'm sorry, the statement was made that the city wouldn't want to. Well, the city is the city council. And I don't know of anything that was where the city council said one way or the other that they would.
And if you want to give the property away,
I'm
then
just
I
saying,
guess that's the...
you know, we should be open, the more proposals we get, the better, the better for us. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Miller?
I'm in support of the 3-year lease. This is a seasonal business, and as a boat owner, at the end of the season, you ask where you're going to store your boat and can you come back next year. And continuity is the key to success. If you're happy with where you're at, you try to secure that slip for next year. So I think to the point of we asked 2 other marinas, there was no interest. All Marine has done a great job. I think it's the right thing to do to go into the 3-year lease, not only to perform for us, but to better enhance their ability to fill those slips and keep them full.
Thank you. Any other comments by City Council? Alderman Cook?
I just disagree with the 3-year. We don't know what's gonna happen after November 5th. 1 year's good, as long as they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, that's fine with me. I just don't like giving up a 3-year when everything is kinda up in the air.
Alderman Sandy?
Just to confirm, we have a legal binding contract here with a 6-month out, correct? That's what we have.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, so we all understand that. I mean, and we make the note, you know.
Ultimately, it's a 6-month contract.
Yeah, it's a 6-month lease, that's what it is. It's not,
That's all it is.
that's all it is.
Thank you.
Alderman Davis?
I just wanted to go on the record to say that, in the corporate world, this is pretty typical. 3 to 5 quotes is very typical. You obviously have the out, that was in there. The number of quotes that were given was in the packet, so, there really shouldn't be too many questions on that.
Yeah, any other discussion by City Council? Alderman Gleb?
Yeah, first I'll start out with, if we're gonna talk about corporations, I can tell you about corporations because I've worked for them most of my life. And that's the fact, it doesn't matter whether you do it right or not, as long as you check the box off, that's all they care about. Because they get so big and whatnot, so, as much as corporations. With that, though, again, I just feel that, to some extent, we should go another 1-year contract and we should branch out a little bit further and see, if there's other, possibilities. If somebody were to come up to us with a better offer or a much better offer, we're not gonna take, I would think, and give them a 6 months notice, on this agreement because we want to bring somebody else in. If it's a developer, yes, but not if we want to bring somebody else in, so. Anyway, that's all I've got to say, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Santos?
If someone comes in with a better deal, I want to hear it. I mean, that's what we got going here. I want to hear it. And, if they come to the staff and Bill, then comes to our level, and we're going to have a discussion on it, great, I want to hear that. And I'm sure he'll bring it to us. So, I get it, 3 years is a long time, but, you're gonna blink your eyes and you guys will be back here voting on it. I'm not sure if I'll be here, but you guys will be back here voting on it. That's all I have.
Alderman Bassi?
Alderman Davis and I are trying to find, where's the out clause? We're on page 41 right now.
It's in paragraph
Number 1, terms, term and rent, A.
1A, last paragraph.
For any reason remote at all, upon 120 days, notice to the non-terminating party.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I'll chime in here. We're looking at a 6-month lease, so that's basically it, so I have no problem with that at all.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
Alderman Davis.
Yes.
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Alderman Glab.
No.
Alderman McClatchy.
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassi.
Yes.
Alderman Cook.
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Next item on the agenda is 6B, Oak Industrial Fort Meade Street STP resurfacing project. The motion to pass this resolution, appropriating $280,000 of the city's matching local funding requirement for the STP resurfacing project. For a motion to approve. Alderman Cook?
I approve, V.
Second? Alderman Glab?
I'll second that.
Any discussion on this item by City Council? Alderman Glab?
Just want to applaud, I know, with, Dartmoor, we tried for several years to get this type of STP funding, and I don't know if because of the size of the project, we never got it or whatever, but I want to applaud you, for the fact that, we almost added, close to $1 million on the street program by doing this. So, thank you, Steve.
Any other discussion by City Council? Anyone from the public, or any public comment regarding this item? Please call.
Alderman Cook.
Yes.
Alderman Glab.
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
Alderman Davis.
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassi.
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy.
Yes.
Alderman Santee.
Yes. I'll make the motion to approve the facade grant for 1208 North Riverside Drive as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Yeah, just a quick thank you to Alderman Davis for spending some time out there with, Mr. Miller and myself. It was very appreciative from him, and, you know, we got things moving in the right direction, so thank you for getting out there with me.
Doug, just for the record, the budget is $100,000.
Correct.
Correct, okay. And we've used $87,000 of it, so we clearly have the money. Was Windhill recontacted,
Yes,
and,
I believe they're going to resubmit.
okay. All right, then we'll still have enough money for them also.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm just curious, how much, is Windhill looking at?
It would be $5,000.
Same thing, okay.
Doug, so when's the next time that they could apply for a facade grant? How many years before they can? Well, they can apply once every 5 years if they get a facade grant. Thank you.
Question? Alderman Glab?
Just the fact that that's the normal criteria. However, I believe the way it's written is the fact that the city council can decide on their own if they want to approve something, even if it's at more than 5 years, or if it's been 5 years or less. And that's for any kind of grant money, not just the facade grant money, correct?
Right, the city council has the authority to do that.
Right, but any money that was given, whether it's economic development money or whatever, but the city council, if they have a discussion and decide to give it to the facade grant anyway, they have the autonomy to do that, even though it's written with the guidelines that way. In fact, the guidelines specifically state that the council can decide to give it out anyway, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Anyone from the public would like to make a public comment regarding this item? Monty, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
Alderman Cook.
Yes.
Alderman Davis.
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassi.
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy.
Yes.
Alderman Glab.
Yes.
Council, next item on the agenda is 6D, Riverwalk Shop Special Event. Looking for a motion to approve Park Special Use Permit to allow the McHenry Area Chamber of Commerce to hold an event in McHenry Riverwalk Shops area of Miller Point Park on Thursday, 10/17/24, with a rain date of 10/20/24 from 2 to 11 p.m. Also, a special event liquor license to the McHenry Area Chamber of Commerce in conjunction with their special use request for Miller Point Park. Also, number 3, to allow alcohol in the park aside from the designated areas, and I am looking for a motion to approve. Alderman McClatchy?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Santee?
I will second the motion.
Thank you. Discussion by this council? Alderman Miller?
I am thrilled to see this come to fruition. We have always wanted, or the vision of Miller Point was to be a multi-purpose place. And I think this is the first step in, again, a public-private setting to do the exact things that it's supposed to do. Invite the public, bring them in, fundraise for the future, and expose our businesses to new and exciting events. So I am completely in support of the Riverwalk Fall Shops Dinner, and I look forward to attending. Thank you, Molly.
Alderman Glab?
Yeah, Alderman, or Director Hobson. Director Hobson, is there not a special liquor license out there that All Marine has that is exclusive for Miller Point?
Well, this is a special event, so similar to, let's say, Shamrock's the Fox, in that we, so Shamrock's the Fox, we are the liquor license holder for that event. So this is a similar private event that the All Marine Retro Rentals will not be a part of. We have that written into their lease as well, that we can have events there, and they're not the sole, they don't have to be the sole provider. We are allowed to have other events there as long as we give them notice of what's happening.
That's in the contract that way?
Yes, it is.
But now, this is not a city event, this is a chamber event.
Correct.
There is a difference as far as wording, again. I'll relate that to Attorney McCardle. and I'm not sure, I don't have the contract in front of me, but basically, if they have an exclusive, on the liquor license, and if it specifically states that if the city has different functions, it's one thing, but if it's the chamber, it's not the city, and I just wonder if we need to have, some kind of a sign-off by All Marine or not, just for legality purposes.
I have spoken to them, and there's no issues with that with them. If that's something that council would like to see, I can approach that and get that in writing. But they're very supportive of this type of event. It's just a completely different offering than we've been able to have down there, and so it's an exciting opportunity for us to change that kind of that clientele and then bring the shops into the mix and really create a unique special event. But if that's something that you'd like to see from a council level, I can certainly pursue that. But I did have that conversation with them as the liquor license holder in the park.
No, I just think it should be in writing. I mean, we've got a contract with them, we should have in writing that they release us, to be able to do that. That's all I'm saying. Again, it's just paperwork, but, it's a legality.
Molly, you go up to the podium.
Not from the chamber, but from All Marine.
Remember, we did have a private rental there just a couple weeks ago from the Riverwalk Place town homeowners, and they were allowed to bring their own alcohol into the park. We did not have a sign-off for them as well, so.
They used All Marine.
No, they did not.
Okay.
They were allowed to bring their own in.
I sat there and drank at All Marine, so.
Well, you could purchase that, but they were allowed to bring their own as per the special
I
event.
didn't see anybody at all with any alcohol, so thank you.
That was, marked on the form.
Molly, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention that there's already been precedent because we get a separate liquor license for our wine walk down there as well. So All Marines has already had this come across their desk, so.
Do you have it signed off, though? That's what I'm asking, is to see that it's signed off.
She participates in the event, and the Riverwalk Shops has a separate liquor license when we have that event. So I would think that she would have brought it up at the time.
I think you're a little confused on what the issue is, so.
Okay.
The issue is the fact that they have an exclusive out there, and except, again, I don't have the wording right here, but if there is a conflict, I just want to make sure that we're covering ourselves on that contract with the paperwork that they approved it, and I'm just looking for a signature for them to sign off.
Okay, we'll get a signature. Got it. Alderman Santee?
We'll get a signature.
Withdrawn.
Alderman Cook?
Now, is this in a designated area, just, one area, you're not walking up and down all the way to Green Street, Riverside Drive and all that?
No, it is outside the designated area of the
I
triangle.
understand that,
But
I
within
didn't
the
want
param-
them walking up and down
Correct,
and, you know.
within the parameters of the park and largely contained to the shops area itself.
Thank you.
Alderman Bessie?
What time does the liquor license actually start? Because I'm seeing the permit, and it's 2 to 11, but that's set up, so what time is it the 6:30 dinner?
Serving,
6 o'clock? 6:30 to 9:30, okay. And basically the question is, when does the liquor start pouring? 6:30. Not until? Not until, no. Unless you go to All Marine? Oh, no, it's not open on Thursday. Okay. I'm, just like you, and I'm not comfortable, outside of the designated area. We couldn't have the event in the triangle, just for the shop. Yeah, so
It's okay, it's all right, it's okay. We'll get it passed, don't worry about it. Alderman Davis, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, is there a way we could just see, or you could review what the contract says so that we don't go over this every single time?
Bill and I are all over that.
Appreciate that, because if it's in there, there's no sense wasting extra time doing that every time this comes up. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions by the city council? Any public comment? Monty, please call the roll.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassie?
No.
Alderman Davis?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Thank you, council. Thank you to the McHenry Area Chamber of Commerce for having this event. Next item is a discussion, compensation of elected officials. David, you want to go ahead and...
Yeah, so this is just an FYI for discussion to the city council. The law prohibits you, as you know, from increasing or decreasing salaries for elected officials during their terms. The law prohibits increase or decrease of elected official salaries during the terms of those offices. However, the law allows you, outside of 180 days of an election, to do so. So we have an election coming up. If you would like to discuss and alter the salaries for elected officials who are for those positions coming up this next spring, effective just after May of 2025, now's the time to do it and have it effective sometime in the month of October, no later. That would be 180 days before the election. This is just a reminder, because if you do it at any other time, you're probably not going to be able to make it under the wire. Some towns are altering the salary, some aren't.
So anyone from the council would like to make a
Oh, and the
comment?
information on the salaries, surveys and so forth has been distributed in the supplement.
Mayor?
Yep, go ahead.
What I'd like to do is make a few statements, okay? I analyzed this, I was on the council when we went to $4,200 a year, $350 per month. We did it in such a way and manner that all elected officials at the same time got the raise, so therefore I would ask that we be looking at 2027. At the time in 2005, we went to $4,200, using let's say a compound figure of 1.3% over the years. By 2027, you'd be looking at approximately $8,400. However, that's looking at $4,200. When we first started at $4,200, we had 3 meetings at that time instead of 2. Shortly after that, they were reduced down to 2. And then we had committee meetings, and committee meetings went away several years back. So technically, per meeting, we've had a pretty good raise because of the fact of the $4,200, because of the fact that we've only had 2 meetings, per month, and we were getting $350 now. So I kind of analyzed it to where possibly we'd be looking at maybe taking it and going with maybe approximately $5,400, with the idea that aldermen would also get $100 per meeting if we ever bring back committee meetings, or if we have special meetings or committee of the whole meetings, an extra additional $100 over and above. And that would take you somewhere up into that $8,400. But like I say, and that's a 92% increase over, but that's over, 22 years? So the percentages is rough. It looks like it's a heck of an increase, but it's also, you got to figure that there hasn't been an increase for the last 22 years. So the rate of inflation has been tremendous over that time. So anyway, that's my thoughts on it. I'd like to hear others.
Any other comments? Alderman Davis?
I also did a little bit of looking at this just to see where we're at with others. There was, in particular, from the council side, there was really only one that was way over than everybody else, so I disregarded that. But just this year, there's been, there'll be 28 total if we stick to the 2 the rest of the year. So, so the 42 is a little bit under what the average is. If you average those out, throwing out, the top that are way above everybody else. So, that's all I wanted to add on that one. Particular number, you could cut up the math however you want to do it, but we're a little under what the average is, but we're close.
Any other discussion, comments? Alderman Glab?
Just the fact that I don't really want to look at comparisons of the other communities, because we could look at Mundelein. Mundelein is a much more affluent area as far as the amount of people they represent, and I think they're, if I recall, their aldermen are making somewhere close to, what, $12,000? Again, I'm just looking at, you could look at a couple other communities that are similar to our size, but do they have the same type of situations that we have, that what we have to deal with versus what these other communities? Some of them are already well built up. We're still growing. Granted, we can't grow out too much further as far as area-wise, but there's still a lot of room within that area of our planning area that we can still develop. And there's still a lot of redevelopment that needs to be done as well. So, like I said, you'd really, if you're going to start doing comparisons to other communities, you got to take a look at what every community has to do. You know, this is government. And again, what I threw out is figures trying to look at that. Okay, if the council's looking to increase their revenue, then there needs to be more work being done by the aldermen as far as committees and committee of the holes, and therefore being more involved, more work. If we don't want to do it, then maybe we just don't raise it as high. At $5,400, if we don't have committees and committee of the holes, and we don't have committees, then $5,400 is still under what a lot of the other communities are paying.
Yeah, go ahead.
I also just wanted to point out that the data that's in here in the packet this evening, those are the current numbers based on the codes of those other communities and other communities that we've spoken to. But staff has been contacted by a number of different communities over the past couple of months. I think a lot of communities are looking at this because obviously, as Attorney McCardle pointed out, this is the time to do it. So my assumption would be that these numbers may go up in some of the other comparable communities after this election as well.
Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't think anybody on this council does it for the pay. And if we do, you're welcome. But if we do, the council plans on adjusting this, I'd like to see it take effect in 2027. So that way you've got election coming up, and then 2 years you got another one coming up, so it'd be all even with everybody. So that's my only comment.
Alderman Cook?
I also would like to see, like a cost of living raise in there to keep up with the times. Like if there's no cost of living, okay, you don't get nothing. But, you know, I just look at it at employees of the city. They get their cost of living raises and all that, and I don't see why alderpersons can't receive the same compensation for it. I mean, me personally, I ain't doing it for the money, but, you know, with the stress and everything else that you got to deal with, hey, why not?
Alderman Miller?
Thank you, Mayor Jett. I also did the analysis. I threw out everything that wasn't in McHenry County. I'm very aware of the taxation, that McHenry County is one of the highest taxed areas in the state of Illinois, and it always concerns me when we're looking at increases of how that's going to impact the residential homeowner, because the burden of taxes is really on the residential homeowner. So I threw out all of the Lake counties, looked at McHenry counties. We're obviously still on the low end of McHenry County. I'm not in favor of raising taxes unless we absolutely have to, and this is a direct correlation to our budget and looking at the fact that we did not raise our levy last year. So where are we going to get the money from? If this council chooses to do an increase, I would be in favor of doing it in 2027, not before, so that we can adjust the budget in preparation for any increases that have to be absorbed. Because this council sat here and said we are not raising taxes. We have frozen our levy, and you can't continue to spend more money on a frozen levy.
Thank you. Alderman Zanti?
Alderwoman Miller brings up a great point. I did no research, no. I mean, I'm sitting here because, I love this city and I want to do this, okay? So, if I have to cut a check to the city to come here and do this, I'd probably do it. You want to do something in 2027, fine. I understand Alderman Cook, the cost of living thing, but either, members here are either retired or they're working for a living. So there is that component that let's face it, I was doing something till 5:30. It's called my real job. No offense. This is very important to me. But it's, by all means, it's just, I know I was here when that one came through, and I don't know if you folks are planning on doing something in 2027. If I'm not around, great, have a good time. But but Alderwoman Miller brings up a great point, because we've done an excellent job with no levy, no increase. So might want to put that thought in our minds, because we are a growing city, as Alderman Glad mentioned, and there are some things that we need to make sure we're taking care of. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Any direction? Any direction?
Mayor?
Go ahead.
Maybe a little more research that we look at and bring it back at a later time. If depending on how the council feels, I've heard from three different, me as well as two others, at least at 2017, or three others. And if we're, 2027, and if we're looking at 2027, it's no big rush. Except if we're looking at the mayor or the city clerk's salaries at this time. Because that would have to be done.
You have to do it. Oh, yeah, no, that's.
No,
that's
no,
right.
yeah.
We have to, for the.
You're right, we do have to do it. So I'm sorry, you're right. Otherwise, then we're going out to 2029.
We would not make theirs effective, it wouldn't trigger until
2027, right, but yeah, it would affect those that are running in the spring. You're right.
Is there a consensus on bringing it back for $5,400 a year? I don't know. It seemed like
Starting in
that's what the number
2027.
was.
2027? Yes.
I'd be fine with that.
Two.
Okay.
What about Mayor?
I feel for Crystal Lake Mayor. No wonder I pay for lunches every time.
Mayor, what about the per meeting as far as committee meetings or committee of the wholes? If we deem later on down the road to do that, we could just put it in. If we don't create the committees, then there's no income coming in. But if we do down the road in the next 4 years create committees, then the compensation is there. So
committee, special meeting, and committee.
Yeah.
Well, committee.
Committee, city council committees, and committee of the whole.
So the two who said yes to the 5,400, do you also agree to 100 per meeting?
That's what I was looking at, which seemed to be fair. More than fair.
5,400
plus 100 per meeting for special meetings.
Special meetings or committee of the whole. I have a feeling we'll be in a lot of meetings. And I don't want that. But, Alderman Santee, go ahead.
Just one lump sum. I could care less about adding the little here, a little there. It just makes no sense to me. Here's what we got.
5,400.
We're not here to make a living. We're here to make decisions for the city.
So 5,400, no $100 per meeting, Alderman Miller?
So I might be naive, but I didn't even know we got paid when I got elected. That was a gift that I learned about. And to Alderman Santee's point, no one does this for a living. It's kind of just a little frosting for being here. So if there is an increase, again, I think it should be a flat rate, not dependent on the meeting schedule. I think you should know what's there, and the taxpayers have the right to know what's there, because how do you adjust your budget if you have various special meetings. So if there's an increase, I think it should be a flat rate, and your participation in all and any meetings that are called for is required, period. And I would never be a fan of bringing committees back. Just saying.
Thank you. It's awesome to hear. Alderman Glenn?
Yeah, just the fact that, yes, I know that Alderwoman Miller has always professed the fact that she doesn't like the idea of the committee meetings. To me, the committee meetings brought more information to the council and got the council individually more involved. And that was the whole idea. Extra $100 is to try to push this council into working a little harder as far as going into these committees. If they don't wish to, then let's not bother putting it in. But I think the $5,400 is fair when you compare it to the rest of the community. If everybody wants to leave it at what it is right now, that's fine with me too. But I would definitely say $5,400. And I was looking at, again, statistics more than anything else. And I also feel too, for the future, that although Caroline isn't here, but that the compensations are looked at maybe every 4 years or so that if we're going to look at an increase, why should we show such a large percentage? Why? Because we haven't touched it in 22 years. You know, so let's just look at it and review it down the road, you know, maybe every 4 or 5 years, just so that it doesn't get out of hand. Now, what about the mayor's?
And clerk.
No, I ain't taking no I was actually asking him, how do I decrease it?
Okay.
Not if you really feel, Crystal, like
We can
4,800, go to 47.
Hit yourself over the head.
No, serious.
Think about whoever would be in position.
Yeah, it's really not about you people
No,
at all.
I get it.
Especially in 27.
No, don't increase that.
So.
Mayor, I had an idea, but I'll talk to you later.
There's a lot of people, I mean, in my opinion,
It'd be embarrassing.
I've always thought this way, like, I do this because I want to do this. There's people out here that put more hours into the public and in events and planning and volunteering more than I do at the city, so I don't know. I do not want an increase on my end, or on the mayor's end in general. I think 15,000 is fine. Alderman Miller.
Thank you. I just want to explain my position on committees for the record. I participated in committees in my first term. I was very frustrated by doing work at the committee level, bringing it to the council level, and having our work product torn apart and revisited. So the point of committees is to get the work product done, get it in the packet, and get it to the council for approval. When that didn't happen, I forced the issue to eliminate committees. I am now going to continue to resonate the issue of committee of the whole puts the 7 members of council working on the work products prior to a council meeting as a whole. So if there's a discussion to be had about a budget item, there's a discussion to be had about a park item, there's a discussion to be had about a road item, all 7 members discuss it in the committee of the whole before it's brought to council for approval. That is efficiency. Doing a committee meeting with 3 of us, having that work product brought to council and ripped apart and redeveloped here at council is useless and not efficient. So I am very much an advocate of committee of the whole and not back to committee work. Thank you.
Alderman Davis, the floor is yours.
Just after listening to everybody, I would be more apt to kind of meet halfway with that. It's been 20-some years or whatever it's been since there's been an increase, whether it be us or somebody else sitting here. You know, I think $100 increase is a little excessive, so I know we had talked a little bit, so if we move that to 4, that would be a little more palatable than, and you know, just doing a large increase, you know, and then obviously pushing that to 2027, but that'll have time to make that adjustment in the budget.
You're saying increase it to 4,600? Am I wrong?
Currently 4,200.
Right. Are you saying to increase it by $400, or you?
Well, it'd be 50 a month, so it'd be 400 total a month, so that would come out to 48.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So.
Okay, then. Yep.
So are we, we're all over the dang place. All right, so 4,800, is there a consensus from council that 4,800 is fair? That's two.
And again, staff and the attorneys will be drafting an ordinance and bringing it back for consideration. So the city council will have another bite at the apple, if you go home and reconsider, the amount.
We'll put those two numbers in the supplement. What about the
Multiple
city
choice.
clerk? Anybody moved on that issue?
Mayor.
Yeah, obviously, the city clerk is not here this evening, to weigh in at all.
It's not
Yeah.
her, though. It's my position. You know, it's for next time. No?
I guess not.
Twice? Okay, leave it.
So do you know what you're bringing back?
Yeah, we're gonna bring back a
not
draft
done.
ordinance with a blank in it,
We're not
and
done.
two options in the agenda supplement, $5,400 or $4,800.
We're not done yet, though.
Oh,
We still have the city clerk to discuss.
And we just asked about it,
I just did.
and no one said
Yeah.
anything.
You're just gonna right through it. So it's gonna be the same as what it was?
No, whatever
No
you
one
want.
said
What
anything.
did you say?
The floor is yours. Go ahead.
No, that's why I'm asking.
We asked, and
There were crickets.
it was,
Okay, so, I mean, so where are we with the city clerk? We're gonna leave it as it is, or does anybody feel that we need to up it, down it, or what? I mean,
council? Alderman Miller?
Monty, any insight from Trish?
You want me to tell you what she's been telling me?
I guess that was my question.
Maybe not.
You do
This
not,
is
you do not have to answer that, Monty.
No, yeah.
I don't want you to break her confidence, but is she satisfied with this, or is,
She would like a raise.
thank you.
That's all I'll say. This is awesome.
There's a straightforward request.
So is there, I don't know the history of why it's a salary plus a per meeting? Was there history to that doesn't seem to be the norm?
what little history, I'm sorry, could I
Yeah, go ahead.
answer some of that? And again, from the history that I can recall, I don't have any documents or anything that I looked at, but it used to be that the city clerk used to be considered a full-time job. And the pay structure at that time, if I remember right, was approximately $54,000, $56,000. And that was changed back around 2005, 6, or whatever. And at that time, it was decided that they didn't have Monty. Let's put it that way. They had an assistant, but not anywhere near as qualified as Monty. And so that's why they got paid what they did. They were getting paid $400. They had a lot more work at that time because they didn't have somebody like Monty full-time out there helping them out. So that's why the compensation was put where it was.
Any other comments? Alderman Davis?
Monty, I guess maybe asking a little bit of feedback on, like, do you have an idea of what the amount of hours that are spent that we don't see? And maybe that'll help with...
That what Tricia does?
Yeah.
So Tricia comes to the meetings, and so she'll type the notes up, and then she types up the minutes for the meetings that she's here.
But I'm assuming there's time outside of the actual sitting in the meetings,
Yeah, so
editing those.
she'll take the notes, and then she'll leave, and then like, in the next day or two, she'll type up the minutes that you see in the packet, and she sends them to me. So when she's not here, she types up the minutes that you see in the packet for the meetings she's here. So that's what she does when she's not, that's like the work she does when she's not here at a meeting.
Guesstimate on what outside of the meeting?
Like how long it takes her to do that?
Yeah, just an average guesstimate, just to, we have something to go off of?
No. She usually has them to me the next day. Or she'll say, I'm busy, I'll get them to you in another day or two. So, you could ask her, you'll have time to ask her again next meeting too, you could ask her, I'll ask her, you know what, I'm gonna ask her, how much time do you put into your average amount of minutes, and it can be a huge range like it's for me. Like when we have a short half hour, an hour long meeting, Or we
Once a
have
year.
sometimes those mega meetings, and it's a lot longer if you have a ton of public comment, a ton of presentations, and I want to get like the quotes just right, and everybody said, I spend a lot of time on that, but like when we have a quick meeting and there's this consent agenda mostly and only a couple action items, you know, it's like hours less. So I'll ask her, if you want, I'll ask her and I'll let you all know what she says before the next meeting, and you guys can,
Yeah, and I can text her too, and maybe that's
Yeah.
what we need to do, is kind of do that, because, like you said, there's, you know, a quick meeting, it could be
Yep.
2 hours to do it on average, but, you know, when it's a 5-hour meeting,
yeah.
maybe it takes her another 5 hours to get, you know, get all
Yeah.
that done. I don't know.
I don't really want to guess how long she takes on her minutes. I don't want to give you a number and then she gets mad at me and says, "Oh my gosh," you know. Either way, one way or another, I don't want to underestimate it.
Mayor?
Alderman Bessie? Go ahead.
Okay. I just have a simple request, and I think it's very similar to what Alderwoman Miller was saying. Where's the money coming from? When we come back with a potential range, Suzanne, if you could give us an idea what budget line item this is coming from. You know, have we ever had excess? You know, I'm leaving it.
Any other comments, questions? Alderman Miller?
So I have no perspective on what a clerk should make. That's not my wheelhouse. So if we could possibly have a quick wage summary survey of what clerks make other than these few entries that we have. I just did a quick math that at $6,600, assuming 4 hours per meeting, 2 meetings a month, 12 months in a year, you're at $68.75 an hour. I don't know if that's the right number or the wrong number. So to make, you know, a really good decision, I would like to get some kind of a survey of what other clerks make. And Monty, if you have that already, I would love to hear your...
So that's really hard to match what clerks do, because kind of like Alderman Glad was saying, different councils have different work to do, and they do different, you know, they spend different time and have different things they have to do. Clerks are really hard, even though clerks have some basic things. Some clerks do way more and have more piled on them, and there's no way to compare one clerk from one town to another. Even full-time clerks, like even me, I do way different things, and somebody else in a different town will do way different things. Even though you have the same basic little things, there's no real way to compare unless you look at all the little jobs they get thrown on them. So I can tell you, I was like the extra clerk at Prairie Grove for a while, and I did kind of like what Tricia does. I did the meetings, I took the minutes, and I typed them up, and I did a few other little things like that. I can tell you what I made there. I have to look it up. It's similar, I think, to what Tricia had, but I don't want to say it's exact, you know. That's the closest thing I know of. That's pretty much what I did. I did the meetings and the minutes. But really, without calling every town and asking them exactly what their clerk does, there's not a whole lot that probably where the clerk does just this, where they just do the meetings and the minutes. And I'm not trying to downplay what she does. It's just it's impossible to know what everybody does just because they're called the clerk.
Hold on a minute, go ahead.
Thank you. So I guess this leads me into my next conversation, which may or may not be appropriate at this moment, is we have discussed in the past the elimination of the elected clerk in light of the situation that we have a professional clerk that is an employee called deputy clerk that really does the bulk of the work. And at some point, are we going to revisit that conversation, or is that a non-issue?
So if you're going to revisit that for this election coming up, do so quickly, because if I remember right, the rules I looked at required a referendum, although I noticed in the newspaper a short while ago, I think Crystal Lake went from elected to, or Huntley went from elected to appointed, and somehow dodged the referendum. I'm not sure how they did that. But if a referendum is the way to go, we would need to do that very quickly. Otherwise, you're off till, another election.
Mayor?
Yeah. Go ahead.
If I could make a suggestion or two. Number one, I think, we're a little late as far as even discussing, changing the format on that for this time around. That doesn't mean that we can't start the discussion for the next four-year term afterwards. I would suggest that possibly, our city administrator research it a little bit more of what goes on in the county, and maybe the two of you together can take and come up with a proposal that you feel would be amenable to the entire council to pass, whether it's up, down, or whatever, or whether it stays the same. But at least it's a starting point for the following meeting, you know what I mean? So that we know where we're at. And again, you'll have some better information for us, maybe not the exact information we'd like, but whatever's available. And let's leave it at that and move on, if everybody's agreeable with that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Next item is staff reports. Any staff reports? Bill?
Just one, and that's, before we meet again, the Light the Night event will be September 28th at Miller Point Park.
Thank you. Any other staff reports? None? Mayor's report, I have nothing this evening besides thanking the volunteers for Rise Up and all of our committees and leads and beer pours to parking lot people to, I mean, it can go on, and I don't want to forget anybody, but and the businesses that supported it. It was a huge success. Little to no issues besides a couple little things that we rectified on Friday and Saturday, but other than that, it was a very nice event and great weather. So thank you all who participated. Thank you, Alderman Santee, for participating and helping, and Alderman Davis. Thank you very much for helping out. So other than that, that's all I got. City council comments? Alderman Cook?
Yeah, I'm glad everything was a success this weekend. I just had a problem with Thursday night with the music being overly loud. And I live in Ward 6 and kind of in direct of Peterson Park. I've never had a problem with it, with the music or the fireworks or anything else like that. But Thursday night was over the top. When I was sitting in my living room and watching TV and everything, the music was overly loud. But Friday night and Saturday night, it was very good, okay? So I had called and complained and said, hey, just tone it down a little bit, take it down a third or something like that. And evidently the suggestion was made because Friday and Saturday night was great, you know. We had, in Ward 6, we had West Beach and then East Beach. Everybody's brought their lawn chairs out and listened to the music and that, which is tolerable. But Thursday night was a little bit excessive, I thought, and I just wanted to bring that up.
Sure.
I've never had a problem with Peterson Park festivities before.
Thank you. Alderman Glenn?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of add on to that discussion, and that's the fact that, you know, I gave my reservations about these before, and I was told that it wouldn't be louder than Blues Brews and everything else, and it definitely was out of hand on Thursday night. It really was. Now, granted, that was the first night. I'm glad to see that it did get toned down from there, but then again, you had different groups. I don't know, was it the group that had to have it that loud or what, but I just think to some extent we just need to remember that for the future so that, you know, when you can hear every word and you're sitting down at Bull Valley and Crystal Lake Road, that's a little loud. You can hear every word that's spoken. Again, nobody's dissing anybody. We're glad it was a success. And we learned by experience, and for the next time, hopefully we'll try to keep it a little further down. That's all. That's all I think most all of us would ask.
Any other, Alderman Miller?
I think one of the
Bless
best, I think one of the best parts of living in a small town is being able to stay home and hear things that are going on in town. I enjoy hosting Friday nights at my house and listening to the football game. And knowing what's going on over at McCracken, 5 blocks away, is kind of cool, that I don't have to go to McCracken and I can hear the game. Likewise, on Thursday nights, if I'm not in the park, I can hear Pearl Street Market at my house. I think that's one of the greatest benefits of living in a small town, that geographic is, or physically, is in a hollow where our noise reverberates. I can only speak for some of the constituents that reached out to me and said the exact same thing, that they were enjoying it, and thank God we live in McHenry. So thank you, Mayor Jett, for Rise Up. It was an awesome event. Thank you, Frank, for Pearl Street Market. It was an awesome event. Thank you to our community for having the community that we have.
Thank you. Alderman Davis?
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what many have said, that this is the first one that I have attended personally. I went Friday night, and it ran very, very well. I would say it was run better than many of the other events that we have attended and have not been run that well outside of McHenry. My daughters went Friday and Saturday, and I felt plenty safe for them to go, and they would enjoy themselves, be safe, and everything. So I thought it was very well run. Kudos to the police, and I did help volunteer to do cleanup, and honestly, just the way that was run and the amount of work that we were able to do in a little bit of time, I thought it was run great. So kudos to everybody for helping out, the businesses and everything. So thanks.
Thank you. Any other city council comments? Okay.
Whiskey Diablo did open up like last week they did, but right now just food's going to start soon. Today?
Yes.
Okay. Today. Oh, thank you. Okay, I just want, yeah, it's opened up. Thank you.
So I'd like to, go ahead.
Over the past weekend, I mean, don't get me wrong, the festival was great, okay? Because I drove there. When I see people sitting at the beach and all that, listening to the music and all that, the only thing that bothered me was Thursday. That's the only thing. But everything else, I mean, the parking and all that stuff, it wasn't crowded in the streets, you know, by police order you can't park and all that stuff. Everything was well maintained, well run. I have to give you kudos. The only complaint I had was Thursday night. That was the only one I had.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so not to take away anything from anybody, okay?
Yeah, so I like on the noise thing. So Thursday it was louder. Friday and Saturday we also got complaints that it was too quiet to the people that are in the back. And I actually, Jeff's in the room here, so Jeff manages the sound guys and all that. And I was actually texting them like, hey, it's quiet back here, people are complaining. And we got dozens and dozens of emails. Well, when I'm doing a $2 million show, which is what this show costs, you can't have people pissed off that they paid for tickets and then they can't hear it in the back. And, and you couldn't. And it was too quiet. But once you tell them to turn it down, they're keeping it at that point. You're not going to tell the engineers to change it. So you got to understand when you're putting on a concert, you got to make sure it's loud enough for them to hear it that's in the park. And Friday and Saturday we got tons of complaints that they did not hear it in the park. Because I did hear that some council members did call, and I won't say complain, but express concerns. If it's a Thursday night, that's the issue, and we have to modify it where we do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and end early on a Sunday. There's some committee people in this room here that we could have that discussion and not do it on a Thursday night, even though it was approved for a Thursday night. I mean, we want to be, we don't want to make people upset about the noise, but you also got to remember, if it's a $2 million show, you got to be able to hear it in the park and crisp. And we spent an extra $10,000 on sound, and we couldn't use it Friday and Saturday night. But if it's going to continue to be a concern for people, maybe there might be some changes to the property, and we just look somewhere else. Because I just don't feel comfortable putting that kind of money into it, and then all of a sudden the risk is all on me. You know what I mean? And if people keep complaining and having concerns about sound, and I've been on the sound thing for how many years? 3 years. And if Thursday was great, because I could hear it in the park everywhere. And that's what you want to hear. I mean, that's just my opinion. So, once again, there's, and also some engineers will not change it. They will, if it's loud, they're going to keep it loud. They will not turn it down, because now it's their show. You know what I mean? It's not some guy like me saying, hey, can you turn it down a little bit? And, like, they're not gonna care about us. They want their production to be the best it can possibly be. So.
Maybe that's why you need a police chief walking up there with his star right behind you, you know?
Yeah, we're not, yeah.
But anyway, one thing I wanted to comment is the fact that remember, this is a community of families that not everybody necessarily wants to hear this music. Granted, there are times that it's out there in the community. It's amazing that some people are complaining about music, and I think rightfully so to some extent, but yet Friday nights when we have the football games and you hear the PA going like crazy all the way at my house from McCracken Field, I never hear any complaints from anybody on that because they know it's a school. So I don't know. I don't know what the fine line is between it, but there is.
Well, I also know people called and complained, and then once they found out what it was and what the benefit was, people were like, I'm sorry, that's fine. I'm not going to complain anymore. Some people didn't even know the show was going on until they heard it, which is crazy. That did happen as well. So, but we'll look into it and see how we can modify it. But once again, if we're going to continue to do this type of shows, they got to be able to hear it in the park is my only concern. So, all right. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. We're going to go into executive session at this time to discuss the performance and of specific employees, 5 ILCS 120-2C1. I'd ask that the public please exit room, and we will, and staff actually at this point.
Can we have a motion and a roll call in executive session?
Vic's got the motion.
About him, not about me.
Alderman Santee?
Motion to go into executive session.
Thank you. Second by Alderman McClatchy.
Hey, thank you. Second by McClatch?
Yes.
Oh, Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassey?
Yes.
Alderman Davis?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
I need to tell these
Go ahead.
people.
Do your
Yeah,
thing.
hold on. Sorry.